If it is genocide, why international community not taking any action under responsibility to protect?
Well, in my view, genocide is a very serious crime. I mean, that was the argument that has been used in old times. Genocide was a crime that came into existence in the context of the Holocaust, the killing of the Jewish people by the Germans during the era of the Nazi Germany. Now, in Germany, it is recorded that over 6 million Jews were killed, and in the rest of Europe, there were 6 million other Jews killed by the Germans while they occupied countries like Poland and other countries. So the gravity of the situation, in the context of which genocide came about, is such that people try to sort of isolate genocide to the situation of the Jewish Holocaust. But this is incorrect, because if you look at the way the Genocide Convention is drafted, principally, of course, by the Jewish scholar Raphael Lemkin, he wanted genocide to include not even the killing of one person on the basis of his race or his religion. That's the essence of genocide. It doesn't depend on numbers, but on whether there has been a systematic elimination of a group of people characterized by ethnicity or religion. So even the killing of just one or two people on the basis of their race or ethnicity would amount to genocide. So one misconception that many people have and many leaders have is that genocide is an offense that must be confined to the very serious, atrocious crimes. It is an atrocity of atrocities, as people have called it. There are other international crimes like crime against humanity, war crimes, the crime of torture, which they say could be used, and these are lesser crimes, and that situations like the one which took place in Sri Lanka could be accommodated within these lesser crimes. I think that's a wrong argument. Another reason for the argument is that most states in different historical periods would have committed genocide. Like, for example, the Americans would have killed a lot of native people, the Red Indians. They would have killed a lot of black people in different times of history. The British killed many people, again on the basis of ethnicity, while they ruled over different parts of Africa and Asia. The Australians killed their Aborigines, possibly the New Zealanders killed the local Maoris. So in that context, there is a great reluctance on the part of states to use these arguments relating to genocide, because they would be reopening a can of worms, and it might mean that they would have to face a lot of uncomfortable situations. So that's one of the reasons why states are unwilling to embark upon an examination of a situation in terms of genocide. But that is a wrong approach, because the potential for genocides in different parts of the world is great. We see, for example, the situation in Tibet and Xinjiang, where people will be killed on the basis of their ethnicity, in Kashmir, in India, in southern Thailand, where Muslim people are asking for separate states, in Indonesia, in the Aceh province, in Thailand, in the Philippines with the Mindanao rebellion that's going on. So this situation is is full of threats to the future. There would be a lot of massacres taking place on the basis of ethnicity. That's the reason why whenever there is a a trend towards or emergence of a trend towards the killing on the basis of ethnicity, there is a need for the international community to act and prevent it on the ground that these incidents amount to genocide. And they should use R2P, the responsibility to protect, or rather the responsibility to prevent genocides, and ensure that these genocides are nipped in the bud, so to speak, and do not take place. In Sri Lanka, the situation is such that there is a structural problem in that the people in Sri Lanka, the Sinhalese Buddhists, have for a long time thought that they were the persons who are alone entitled to rule the country, and that the other minorities do not have a status in the land. So given that structural problem, there must be some solution found to this situation. And one way of dealing with it is through the emerging law relating to genocide. The characterization of this situation as genocide would enable the international community to have standing to continuously supervise the events that are taking place in Sri Lanka.
And in 144 countries have signed for the Genocide Convention. Sri Lanka is also one of the, at a time it signed as a Ceylon because the name changed in 1972. So as a country which is signed for Genocide Convention is doing genocide, so what repercussions and which we can take it to the international community?
Yeah, the problem is that the Genocide Convention operates only between states. So it's an international treaty that creates obligations between states. So only other states have a status to take up the issue or the violation of the Genocide Convention before international court like the International Court of Justice. As I said earlier on, most countries are reluctant to do this for a variety of reasons. So unless we could find a country that is willing to charge Sri Lanka with genocide before an international court under the Genocide Convention, no court will have jurisdiction under that convention to hear a complaint of this sort.
So is it not the peers, is it not the responsibility of these 144 countries, even though certain countries like America, Britain and some of the countries are reluctant? So 144 countries have signed the convention, then why other countries are not taking it seriously? So that is like a peer system, because this United Nations is based on a peer system. If one is making mistake, then others should follow also in the future. It will become a problem.
Yeah.
So what do you think, why other countries are reluctant still?
Well, because the implications of accusation of genocide are too great for every country or every major country in the world. As I said earlier, every country is guilty of a genocide. Mr. Blair, for example, went to Sri Lanka recently, and you would know that he had discussed issues relating to war crimes with Mr. Sambandhan. And then Gotabaya Rajapaksa said, what about Mr. Blair? Didn't he commit war crimes in Iraq? So this is a difficulty, really, because, yes, shall we say, a country like Australia brings a charge of genocide. People are going to say, what about the Australian genocide in Tasmania of all the black people? The most complete genocide ever was committed in Tasmania when all the black people in Tasmania were wiped out. So, as I was saying earlier, every state has a problem when it comes to genocide. Every state has a lot of skeletons in the cupboard. The Indians, our closest neighbors, very much aware of what is happening, would have committed genocide in Kashmir. They committed genocide against the Tamils when the IPKF came into Sri Lanka. They killed Tamil people in large numbers, and one could say that Tamils were killed just because they were Tamils. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Tamils as a victim of genocide, how can they bring this their plight to the international community? What is the means they can do that?
Well, we should keep talking about this, writing about this, and having TV programs and other programs like the ones that we are currently having in your channel. So one way of ensuring that this matter stays in the forefront of international politics is to continuously agitate, not only for the prevention of the genocide or the punishment of the genocide that has taken place in Sri Lanka, but the prevention of other genocides in other countries. So this idea of linking all these violence that are taking place and the agitation based on the need to prevent such further violence is a way of attracting attention and focusing on the problem of genocide, which is a global problem. Since we have been subjected to genocide, we must use our experience to ensure that others are prevented from meeting with a similar fate. So we must join up with others who are similarly placed and articulate our objections to the non-punishment of people who had committed genocides. So we have to make progress in this viewpoint together. We must join up with other people who have suffered genocide in the past, like the Armenians, the Jewish people, of course, who have done a tremendous amount of work in keeping the fact that the Jews were killed in large numbers in the memory of the world. So we must do the same thing and ensure that the memory of the Tamils who died is ensured by insisting that those who had been responsible for the killing are punished. And not only that, new constitutional structures are put in place in Sri Lanka so that the same problem would not arise again in the future.
And what about what are the other actions like when the Jewish people face genocide? They have created, now the Jewish people have got more genocide centers, and in every country, every nook and corner and everywhere, they have got genocide centers to prevent the genocide of their people. So anybody raises even some sort of argument. For example, last time one of the leaders of GLA, that Ken Livingston, raised some issues. That one of the reporters was a Jewish origin, started asking him question. He said that why always behind him. So he asked, he commented saying that why are you standing like everywhere I go, why you are standing like the guard of the Aswad, where the Jews was killed. So then there was a big hoo-ha about this statement, how can he make this sort of thing, and he support. And again, the genocide denial, the other things are being propagated by Jews. So why can't we do the similar things?
Yeah, of course, the Jewish people are far more powerful than we are. They do have a state, the state of Israel, so their situation is different. They went all over the world. They are a gifted people, and they ensured that genocide that was committed against them is remembered throughout. They have museums on genocide. As you said, they have many centers around the world on genocide. And of course, you must remember that those centers are concerned not only with the Holocaust, but also with genocides that have taken place in other parts of the world. Like, for example, the genocide of the Yazidi women, their rape and killings by ISIS is a matter that is taken up by the Holocaust museums around the world. So we do see the Jewish people being forerunners in this matter. As I said earlier, it was a Jewish scholar, Raphael Lemkin, who was instrumental in bringing this genocide convention about. So we must, I think, do something similar in that we should use our experience, the genocide that we have undergone, in order to construct the law on genocide, to further it, and to ensure that it is given enforcement. So we must ensure that identify the nature of the crimes that have been committed, identify the perpetrators of these crimes, and ensure that they are punished. There are different ways this could be done, because as time advances, there would be new mechanisms that are thrown up by international law. I mean, 10 years ago, we didn't have an international criminal court. It came into existence. There are new methods of exercising universal jurisdiction, which have been tried out in countries like Belgium and Italy. So we must be aware of these instances and be prepared to use them in securing justice for the Tamil lives that had been lost over the years.
As a leader of ICPPG, which is International Center for Prevention and Prosecution of Genocide, what ICPPG can do to bring about this issue to the global world attention?
Yeah. Well, this is the reason why the International Center for the Prevention and Prosecution of Genocide was formed. Our aim was to concentrate initially on the genocide that has taken place in Sri Lanka, collect evidence regarding it, submit it to United Nations bodies which were inquiring into the incidents that had taken place, and ensure that a report was made on the basis of the evidence that we have collected as well as other evidence. So in that sense, our first task was to give publicity to the fact that genocide was committed by furnishing evidence to official groups that were involved in inquiring into the events in Sri Lanka. But apart from this, of course, we would continue to search for evidence, ensure that there is an archive that is built up of such evidence, ensure that in the future there would be prosecutions brought. So as we progress, we will hopefully find enough resources to bring actions before different courts of the world in respect of the actual perpetrators of genocides in Sri Lanka. The other activity that we have is to study problems that arise in other parts of the world, like say for example in the case of Rohingyas in Burma, or as I said, the Yazidis in Syria and Iraq, the Kurds in Turkey, the Kashmiris in India, the Uyghurs in China, and other people who are similarly afflicted by threats of violence. So that is our mission, and I hope that this mission receives the support of your viewers. சரியா?
Avenues available for us to get justice for genocide, because it's not very much done as far as the Sri Lanka is concerned.
Yeah, I think we have made a start on it. Of course, there are a lot of official reports now that have come about. The reports did not talk much in terms of genocide as such, but there is every reason to believe that the findings of these various reports, particularly the United Nations reports, could be the basis of charges for genocide. If you note the Human Rights Commissioner himself did not exclude the possibility that there was genocide. He merely said that they were not concerned with that problem. But the fact remains that these very reports indicate that what was committed was genocide. So the findings in these reports would by themselves give rise to an inference that genocide was committed. What are the other avenues besides promoting such official reports and subscribing to the work of United Nations bodies like the United Nations Human Rights Commission? What are the other avenues? I think we would think in terms of bringing actions against actual offenders in different courts of the world. We would try to identify who these people are and pursue them, not only them but also their property. And one way of ensuring justice is to bring civil actions against these individuals in places where they have property. So shall we say, for example, they have property in the United States, we could attempt to have some affected person lay claims to this property on the ground that he had been tortured by that person in Sri Lanka, torture being an international crime, and there is the possibility that the court would take jurisdiction over this situation and ensure that the property is seized and damages are awarded from that property to the affected person. So we must explore all these different avenues and try, as I said earlier, to promote the expansion of the law in this field, because through the expansion of this law we will be able to secure one of the primary aims of our center, which is the prevention of genocide. That is, to look to the future and to use the past as a way of showing us that the punishment of the past events could lead to the prevention of future situations.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your time and to give us this interview. And we hope that we will work with you as a media. Thank you. Zelo Apekwa, the human rights lawyer, why do you think that what happened to Tamils is a genocide?
According to the definition given by the international law, it seems that there is a quite clear policy of the government to victimize the Tamil population on the basis of racial and ethnic persecution. We know, all of us, what was the reality of the massacres, and those massacres are crimes of war which should be considered to be a genocide according to all the proof that we have now in hands.
And how can we bring this to the international community's attention, and what are the remedies available for the Tamil community to address these issues?
This is a difficult aim, not in terms of law or reality, but in terms of politics. Everybody knows that the Sri Lankan government and the international community has in the past already abandoned the people, and especially when they decide to take away all their people working in Vani or in the north. And this was the beginning of the end. So that's clear that there are some legal instruments, but we need to have a political will of the international community. So the best way seems to be to make hard pressure in terms of respect of the human rights, to force the UN to do so, to fulfill his mandate, and to accept, to support the idea that criminals in Sri Lanka has to be courted because there is no exception for them.
And as you know that the France have done a trial recently on Armenian genocide, and what are the chances of doing similar trials based on that principles in France?
To be honest and concrete, there was no trial. There was a political settlement given by the National Assembly, but this was blocked by the Senate. So it is quite sure that in 1915 Armenians have been victimized by Turkish people, but this show to the Tamil people what is the road to get justice, because they are waiting, Armenians, for so long just to recognize that powerful governments wants to be not guilty. But I think that the Sri Lankan government has not the power of the Turkish government, and that we have hoped that with the support of Indian Tamils, with the support of the strong and well-organized Tamil community, there will be more efficiency and more respect of the rule of law. This means that military of Sri Lanka should face courts, and then we will decide what the court decision will be.
Is it similar things can be brought by French Tamil-speaking population in the Senate, or either in the what is the chances?
The chances are not so big in terms of politics. I think that if one of the general of the Sri Lankan army had the good idea to come to France and to settle, then we have some tools just to try to put him in court, since the number of victims, it is very clear, and everybody should know that when you have been recognized as a refugee, you have been recognized as a victim of the war and persecuted because you belong to a race, a nation which is Tamil. So refugee may imagine that they have the power and the possibility to be good witness in such proceedings.
So what is the chances, as you are a human rights lawyer in France, but is there any sending back of Tamils because of the new government and the new good government or governance or whatever it is? So if there is any
the situation is a little bit difficult. We cannot say that Tamils are sent back. The problem it is the possibility of entry. So the situation is different for those who are already, even if they are rejected. What is quite impossible right now, it is to come to France as a new refugee coming from fearing persecution in Sri Lanka. And as we know, as you know, as I know, military forces are still harassing and persecuting families and people in the north and east, and there is a need of people coming for getting refugee protection. On the other hand, we have no decision in favor of Tamil, who said that there are no deportation, but in fact we don't see many cases of that kind because most of the Tamil who are in France have settled for years. They are well organized, not enough organized. I insist because this is the key of success and recognition. Tamil should accept to be all together, and unity is the first power of the people.
Thank you very much for your time and to talk to us. Thank you.
All right.